Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm going to do something for the life and the theological works of Saint Teresa of Avila in my new video. Subscribe to this channel to see more updates and new content below. See you soon. Teresa was born to Don Alfonso Sanchez de Capeda and Dona Beatriz Davila by Ahumada on March 28, 1515 in Avila, Spain. Teresa's father was very honest and pious, but very strict. In her youth, Teresa was so fascinated by saints who were martyrs that she too wanted to be a martyr. So one day, when she was 7 years old, she convinced her brother Rodrigo, saying that they should go to the land of the Moors and beg the Moors to cut off both their heads. For the love of God, they got as far as the road from the city before an uncle found them and brought them back. But as Teresa grew up, she became extremely vain and rebellious and out of control. Hence, when she was clearly 16 years old, her father was obliged to send her to a convent. She hated it at first, but eventually began to enjoy it because the convent was less strict than her father. When the time came for her to choose between marriage and religious life, she chose religious life, thinking that it was the only safe place to keep oneself from sin. Teresa joined the Carmelites. Once in the convent, she realized that the convent was not the safe place she assumed it would be. It was in the days when many women had no place to go, would land up at the convent, whether they had vocation or not. These women did not lead a life of love for Jesus. They loved to be fashionable, luxurious, and lived not a very edifying life, while on the other hand, some of them exaggerated penance and mortifications. Teresa, being charmed, was liked by everyone. She too was vain and got easily flattered. Because she was charming, she had many visitors. She would teach them mental prayer, and they in turn would offer expensive gifts. The community encouraged her to accept gifts as it would add to the community income. These kept her away from God, and she hardly prayed for years. However, when she was 41 years of age, on the advice of her confessor, she started praying again, and God gave her many spiritual blessings. It was told that when she prayed, her body would raise itself from the ground, and that she would call the nuns to hold her down. Some friends, however, did not like what was happening to her, and concluded that she was possessed and made fun of her. At the age of 43, Teresa was determined to found a new congregation that went back to the basics of the contemplative order. She wanted a simple life devoted to prayer, and where they would practice poverty. The sisters of the convent she was in, and even the townspeople, were against her. Other religious orders and bishops opposed her. Even in the face of this opposition, Teresa went ahead calmly, trusting in God. God was with her, and her holiness won. One day, the wall of a building fell on Teresa's young nephew. He was crushed to death. The people rushed him to Teresa. Teresa held her little nephew and prayed. It is said that a few minutes later, the boy came back to life. As her popularity grew, many young women joined her, and her movement spread not only around Spain, but throughout Europe. In the meantime, the church authorities too found her to be genuine and supported her. That was how Teresa became the foundress of the Discalced Carmelites, which means barefooted. Teresa of Avila clearly believed that we need to obey God at all times. If we do something wrong, We should try to change our ways instead of punishing ourselves. She died on October 4th, 1582, at the age of 67. Pope Paul V made her blessed on April 24th, 1614, and was canonized on March 12th, 1622, by Pope Gregory XV. All four male saints included: first is Saint Ignatius of Loyola, secondly Saint Francis Xavier, third is Saint Isidore the farmer, last but not the least Saint Philip Neri. All four male saints in the description box below and description link below. Links and description. Saint Teresa is the patron saint of those who suffer from headache. In 1970, she was declared a Doctor of the Church for her writings and teachings on prayer by Pope Paul VI.